Metal casting is one of the oldest, most efficient, and versatile manufacturing process. It is defined as a manufacturing process in which a molten metal is poured into a cavity of desired shape and allowed to solidify. Once the metal and mold are both cooled, the metal object is removed and the finishing process is applied. There are 5 basic steps to consider when manufacturing products through the process of casting. While each casting method creates unique challenges and processes, all techniques retain the same basic steps, and proper care should be taken at each step to deliver a final product with high quality. The basic sequence of the operations required for metal casting are: 1. Pattern making. 2. Mold making and core making. 3. Melting and pouring of the metal. 4. Removal of the metal cast from the mold. 5. Finishing and inspection. 1. Pattern making. The first step in metal casting is to make your pattern. The pattern is the replica of the part to be cast, and it is used to prepare the mold cavity. It is the physical model of the casting used to make the mold. The process of making patterns is an important step in the casting process, and the selection of the material for a pattern depends upon the type of molding material used, the number of castings to be produced, the degree of dimensional accuracy required. When you are shaping your pattern, make sure to account for shrinkage and machining allowance in the castings. The materials commonly used for pattern making include wood, metals, plasters, plastics, rubber, and wax. 2. Mold making and core making. After creating the pattern, the next step is mold making. Molding is the process of making a mold with the desired cavity in a suitable material. It simply means the mold preparation activities for receiving molten metal. Molds can be reusable, meaning they are used repeatedly to cast identical parts, or expendable, meaning they are used only once and destroyed in the casting process. Materials such as sand, plaster, or wax are used in expendable mold casting, whereas metal and other durable materials are used in non-expendable mold. Core making. If casting is hollow, an additional piece of sand or metal, called a core, shapes the internal form to make it hollow. Many part designs require the inclusion of cores in the casting mold. Cores are forms, usually made of sand, which are placed into a mold cavity to form the interior surface of castings. Thus, the void space between the core and mold cavity surface is what eventually becomes the casting. 3. Melting and pouring the liquid metal into the mold. The preparation of molten metal for casting is referred to simply as melting. Melting consists of placing the solid metal in a crucible and heating it inside a furnace until molten. After the metal is melted, it is poured into the cavity of the mold to cool and harden. Melting processes vary between alloys because each alloy will have a different melting temperature. 4. Removal of the metal cast from the mold. Once the metal has cooled and solidified, the removal process begins. The cast metal is removed by allowing the mold to undergo vibration to remove sand from the casting. For reusable mold, you may use ejector pins to extract your casting. 5. Finishing and inspection. The last step in metal casting is the finishing process, which refers to all operations necessary for the removal of sand, scales, and excess metal from the casting. This includes filing, cleaning, and polishing the metal part. It can also include machining and drilling. Excess metals in the form of wires, parting line fins, and gates are removed. Once proper appearance and surface texture has been achieved, an inspection of the casting for defects and general quality is performed.